everyone, to another episode of the Black Create Connect podcast.
Whoop.
And I have with me today probably one of the most craziest guests that I'll probably have on here.
Not crazy, child. Not crazy. Really?
I'm joking. She's not crazy. She's just creative, and she's just an open, free spirit. And I've actually known this person for 13 years probably. And you know how I love to get long-term guests on here because there's more juice, there's more depth. So, let's give it up for Denice Koduah, who is a sickle cell warrior and a creative assistant, a former sales professional.
Yes.
Welcome.
Thank you. BCC to the world,
So, also, Denice has been, just a shout out to Denice because she's been massively helping me with BCC from the beginning of this year. And honestly, this podcast probably wouldn't be happening, child, without Denice's support, encouragement, her assistance, resources. It means a lot. So,
thank you.
Public thanks,
I
But
appreciate you.
yeah, but so for those that don't know, it's National Sickle-cell Awareness Month this month in September. And as I guess Denice is someone that has sickle cell, I would like her to kind of first of all tell us what sickle cell is. Let's get started with that.
Okay, well, child, I'm not the dictionary. Let's go with what it says on the Google.
Okay.
Yeah, first of all, because I could give you the spiel, but I don't want no one to come for me in the comments like, that's not what it is.
Okay.
But sickle cell, okay, what is it?
Okay, in the meantime, while she's finding the definition, the purpose of Sickle Cell Awareness Month, from my research, is so that we can have more awareness on what it is. We can dedicate more money to resources to understand how to, make people that have sickle cell live a better life. As well. Is there any other reason?
Yeah. So it's essentially like any awareness month. It's literally to just spread awareness so more people are aware of what it is, and in order to help people that suffer with sickle cell in the UK and I guess around the world as well to live a better life in this place we call London, aka the ghetto. I'm joking. But so sickle cell anemia, so it's a severe hereditary form of anemia, which is a mutated form of hemoglobin distorts the red blood cells into a crescent shape at low oxygen levels. It is common amongst those of African descent. So essentially that's a very high-end way of saying it, but basically with sickle cell anemia, you're somebody that doesn't suffer with it, so your red blood cells are a circular shape and mine are in a crescent shape or an abnormal sort of shape.
All of them?
Yes, and my red blood cells are like that, so it obviously that affects the way the blood travels through the body. When they join and meet in a joint, which is obviously an awkward place for it to meet, that can cause a crisis. And it's something that both my parents have the trait, so that means that I have the disease. I have two older sisters. One of them, she doesn't have anything, and my middle sister, she has the disease and I have the disease. So they say it's sort of 1 in 4. So if my parents were to have another child, maybe that child would have had just the trait, or she could have not had any. I knew, but you know what I mean. Their other child, if they chose to have one, could have not had anything. So
did your parents know they both had the trait before they got together?
Because my middle sister had the disease, I feel like that's when they were like, oh, okay, we've got sickle cell. Because back in the day, and it's funny actually, because it was a big thing, because obviously what the Google said that it's common amongst people of African descent. In Africa, there was a big drive and thing against people getting married if you had the trait, because because essentially back in the day, nobody really knew what it was. And the life expectancy of somebody that had sickle cell back then was infancy. You wouldn't really make it to your past 5 sort of thing. Even with me, because my sister had it, doctors said to my mum, are you sure you want to keep this pregnancy? And my mum's African. Yeah, mum's African woman said, listen, I'm keeping my baby. I'm keeping my child. It's not that. But yeah, it's It's a disease where they knew they had it, but I guess with the trait, there's different symptoms, and with sickle cell in general, it affects people differently. So I feel like it wasn't anything that they had on their radar to be like, oh, we can't get married or anything, like they weren't thinking like that, if that makes sense. So yeah.
So when you were born, did they know straight away? How did you find out that you had sickle cell?
Me personally, I feel like I knew I had sickle cell or something different when I was like in primary school, when I had my first crises. Like even before that, I don't really remember like my parents sitting me down and being like, you've got sickle cell. Like I don't remember having that sort of, I know my first experience and memory of it was when I was in the hospital for like a good couple of weeks. And I had to go to school in the hospital. Like I was doing, because I was in the hospital for so long, like I had to like
do work in
had
the
to
hospital.
do work in hospital when I was in primary school.
How old was you at the time?
How old are you in year like 5? Year 4,
so
year 5.
maybe like 9 or 10,
yeah,
or something like that?
I was about that age.
So do you remember what took place with the crisis?
Yeah, so believe it or not, I was very into sports growing up. I loved sports. So I did like netball, athletics, all of that stuff. And I think I was doing some sort of sport. I think it was like high jump. Yeah, the one that's over the thing.
You done high jump?
Yeah, it's high jump, the one when you go over the thing and then you land in the mat. Land in the thing. That's high jump, right?
Yeah, you did high jump.
Yeah, I did high jump.
It's because you're so small. That's why.
Whatever. I was good at it. And I did that, and I think I hurt my knee, and that triggered a crisis. So basically, like a range of different things can trigger a crisis. But I remember when that first crisis I had was because my knee was like messed up, and I guess all the red blood cells sort of joined and was like, hey, yo.
So when you say that triggered a crisis, what happens in your body? Is it that, so you have the red blood cells, just so that we understand,
sickle,
they're in your body. So what triggers a crisis is when they all come together and clump together.
Yeah, exactly. So that pain. So I remember like I've been in and out of the hospital kind of my whole life really, but I remember one crisis, like depending on what hospital you go to, like I remember I went to the hospital, and if you take an x-ray or a scan of someone that's having a crisis, it could look like they've got a blood clot because of the way in which they all conjoin in a particular place. So that's maybe a visual representation, but that's not that's what causes the pain. So the because of the bloodstream and stuff like that. That's why, like, you know me, I drink water like no man's business, but like it's because that helps the blood flow throughout your body, like, and not like conjoin and basically trigger a crisis.
So when the blood clots come together, apart from it being painful, what other implications does that have?
Oh, like there's a range. Like the thing is with a crisis, it's like it's one of those things that are kind of hard to explain, but it kind of feels like, I don't want to say an explosion, but like something that is like, it starts really subtly in terms of pain and uncomfortability. And then it like just keeps building and building. And I always kind of describe it as like lots of like little knives in a particular part of your body, just jabbing, constant
Worse than a tattoo?
Pain. Oh, 100%.
No, because I scream whenever I get tattoos. So
no, my pain tolerance is fairly high. Like, yeah, like in terms of like the pain of a crisis, like it's a disease that there's no cure. So like people pass away from the pain of a crisis and having a crisis. Yeah, 100%. It's a very lethal disease.
So how do they treat you in hospital? So there's no cure, but what can be done to help?
So it's all pain management. It's all about pain management, really. Like so for me particularly, like different things, as I said earlier, can trigger a crisis. So like if I'm too cold, even if I'm too hot, like change of temperatures, anything that changes in your body, like obviously as a woman, like your menstrual cycle, like almost every month, like I know I'm gonna have a day where I'm completely man down, and that's because of the changes in my body, like, sort of happening. So what did you say, sorry?
So in regards to the pain and the treatment,
pain management. So for me, like, a lot, some sickle cell people, they have a lot of like their hard medication that they can access like at home. And or like for me, like I have, like, I'm on like cocodamol just as a standard, like,
well, regularly.
Oh yeah. Like, that's, I will never forget. This is getting into like the work thing once, and I remember there was one time, at work, someone was like, "Oh, does anyone have like any painkillers or something?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, I got cocodamol," and the guy was like to me, he was like, "I've got a headache. I haven't been shot." And I was like, "Oh, sorry." Like, because for me, standard. Paracetamol is like, that's gummy bears for me. But like, yeah, like, so you can, some people can deal with the pain management at home. So for me, like, when I'm going into crisis or I feel a bit off, like, I'll take like my pain medication at home, and when they don't work or when the pain is still consistent, that's when I know, okay, maybe I need to go to hospital, because I need to maybe have some intravenous, like, actual injected medication. And it's, once you get to hospital, it's just about them being able to settle that pain, really.
And that can take how long?
It varies. It does vary on person to person, but like for me, I think I haven't stayed in the hospital for less than at least 5 days. Like,
that's pretty intense.
Yeah, it is. It's a long time. Yeah, and that's I feel like that's bare minimum. Like, some people can be in there for a minute.
Really?
Yeah.
See, I felt like whenever you said that, like, growing up you were in hospital, I never fully understood why for so long.
Yeah. So, like, as I say, I always say, I'm very lucky. Like, I feel like when I was younger, especially, and I don't know whether or not that's lifestyle or I don't know, but I feel like when I was younger, I kind of like had, I don't want to say like to sound cocky, but I felt like I knew what I was doing right and wrong to get me in hospital. So I was kind of every 2 years, maybe I'd get in a crisis, like,
but you know that
I kind of knew, like, it was coming, like, my body's tired, or like I've been on too many nights out, or like I decided I didn't want to wear my jacket in the winter, or I'm wearing my blazer for
style
for style instead of wearing a jacket. Like, I kind of knew it, but then, like, as I got older, like, even now, like, I've realized there's so many different things that, like, can trigger a crisis. Like, stress can trigger a crisis, and I just didn't know that. Like, only until like my cousin passed away from cancer, and that year I think I had like 2 crises versus like years before where I wouldn't. Like, for a good year I'd be okay. So yeah, I think because the pain is so intense, that's why it varies how long you stay there. And also, that pain can cause complications. So some people, like, having sickle cell can make you prone to strokes. It can make you,
really,
there's loads of different complications that can come with having sickle cell.
Never knew this.
Okay, I'm teaching you something.
This is quite enlightening. So going back to your childhood then, like, so when obviously this first happened to you, what was it like for you as a child? Like, when you had that conversation with your parents, with your friends, with your teachers, like, what?
How was it?
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like looking back, I don't want to say in denial, but I just feel like it wasn't something that, like, I never wanted to be like, oh, I'm different, I've got like a wow. Like, I didn't want to, it was, and to be honest, I don't feel like I had that much knowledge on it, like, as a child. Like, it was just something that meant I couldn't do certain things, or like, even the understanding of it, like, you know, with the blood cells being sickled, obviously that affects how much oxygen you get, which it said. So like things like swimming and being like running and being out of breath, I was just thinking, girl, you too fat.
But it's a sickle cell.
No, but it is like, it's a symptom of the situation. Like, I feel like only when I'm actually in hospital do I feel like it's like a penny drop moment for like friends and stuff like that? Like I don't feel like it's something that I
go on about
when I was younger, especially. No.
So do you think your school did all they could do to like help you and accommodate?
To be honest, I don't even know if they knew like that. Like,
really?
I went to therapy not the other day. I went to therapy about over a year ago, which is something that I do think that a lot of sickle cell patients should try, or I personally think it should be something that is accessible, because everybody knows about the physical implications of sickle cell, but I feel like the mental implications of sickle cell is quite deep as well, because essentially sickle cell is a hidden disease. Because you look at me and you wouldn't necessarily think there's anything wrong unless I sat down and had a podcast conversation with you to tell you I've got sickle cell. Like walking around the street, you don't really, like, it's a hidden disease. You don't see it. So I feel like when I was in school, especially, like, I'm sick. It's not, I've got sickle cell, so I need these sorts of like allowances or stuff like that. I feel like my parents most probably had like conversations with the relevant teachers, but it wasn't like a widespread, like all my friends knew, like my close friends, but like it's not a known thing that, oh, Denice is over there with sickle cell. Do you know what I mean?
Do you think that there could have been more that they could have done? Like, so looking back now, could teachers do much?
I mean, I think just on the hidden side of it, like, it is quite difficult to kind of feel like you're invisible almost. Sometimes you can get yourself in that space. So maybe like an acknowledgement might have made me feel better, but that's I can't really say that, because I don't know, because I think I don't know. I feel like maybe when I was younger, I most probably would have just preferred to just be normal and nobody, like, just treat me like everyone else sort of situation. But then that's the mental side of it, where it's like, how long can you really do that for?
Yeah, because it obviously affects your childhood.
Yeah.
And if teachers at least know, because it might be a thing where in PE, for example, like you said, I actually can't do this, and teachers like, no, you're being lazy, Denice. Like, did you have those type of situations?
Not like necessarily them saying it, like, and me thinking, oh yeah, this is like a direct thing because I've got sickle cell, I don't want to do this. Like, I feel like it would be nice, but then that's where the awareness comes from, because a lot of people, like, so I've been to hospital and some nurses are like, sickle what? Like,
are you serious?
100%.
In this UK?
Oh yeah.
People go in and they don't know what it is.
Oh yeah. Some nurses are like, in recent years, I won't lie, in recent years, way better. But I think that comes with just experience and being like an adult now, that I know that like they actually can't leave me in casualty for longer than like 10-15 minutes without being seen. But there's been times when I was younger that I took myself to the hospital and stayed there for time until my dad got there and was like, why is
she in A&E?
Yeah, why is she still sat here? Like, that I've had situations like that. So like,
but is it because they don't know the urgency of what's of sickle cell?
Yeah, 100%. And that's what it is. So I think having the awareness and getting the awareness out there for people to know what it is and the implications of it and like how it affects people, just that alone can change people's perception of the disease. Yeah.
So kind of like walking your way through, so obviously school, you managed it. University, did it have any implications when you studied, or not really?
University of Hertfordshire.
Oh yeah,
we went
and another alumni.
Another alumni of UH. Did I have any crisis in uni? I did have a crisis in uni, but again, so like, younger, didn't drink, obviously. So when I went to uni and I'm like out here in these streets drinking, like, we drank for pastimes in uni, I didn't realize, obviously, alcohol makes you dehydrated. Being dehydrated as a sickle cell person is like the worst thing, because obviously it doesn't help with the blood flow. So I do remember, I don't know if it's first year or second year, that I had a crisis, and I think I went to like a hospital in like Welling Garden City or something weird.
A random hospital.
Like, there's like a random hospital.
Yeah.
And Yeah, that was a weird experience. But I think, again, by that time, like my friends and people that I lived with, they knew that I had sickle cell. So it wasn't like I'm hiding, or I'm pretending I don't have it or anything like that. It was very much like just a learning curve for me to be like, oh, this means this. Like if you drink excessively, this could happen. But I think for me, like, just having my own awareness and education and understanding of my own body, as well as having the disease, that has helped me over the years. Like, so again, in uni, I didn't sickle that much, thank God. But like, I definitely had like blips and moments. Because the thing with sickle cell as well, it's not just like those major crises. Like, I wake up in pain most days, like, anyway.
Day to day.
Yeah, like, but that's because it's so normal to me. It's not something that I register as.
When you say pain, normal. Everywhere in your body?
No. So it's different points. So for me, like, obviously, it's especially in the joints, like, that's where it can affect. But like for me, it's mostly like my wrists, or like my ankles sometimes. Mostly it's my wrists and my hands, I think. Maybe because I'm on my phone, I don't know. But like, those are where I wake up and I can feel a bit groggy. But like, usually, like, by 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, I'm pretty much good to go. Yeah.
So you just take your painkillers in the morning, or do you just deal with the pain?
It depends on how I'm feeling. Like, for me personally, I don't like to take too many like pain meds if I don't have to anyway. So if I can get through it, I'll try to.
Have you looked into any like natural or like herbalist or anything that could?
Yeah, I haven't. I was about to lie, but I haven't. Yeah. But I know that there are a lot. Like, I think sea moss is supposed to be really good. Like, in general, coming from an African household, I feel like ginger is just part of the
ginger. What else is there? Cayenne pepper, garlic
like,
as well.
All of those things.
Onions.
So, no, but like, yeah, like, so for like, generally, like, my mum, like, ginger tea and stuff like that, I take those. But I know there are more like holistic things that can help the pain, not necessarily cure, but can definitely help. And it is something that I want to look more into for myself as I get older.
If there's anyone out there that has got sickle cell that's used holistic ways,
drop in the comments, like, let me know, like, because I'm open to it. Like, I'm definitely open to it, because I don't love taking pain medication. I mean, who does? But
and also, like, don't you find that your body becomes almost immune?
So
like the painkillers.
That is a thing. That is a thing, especially because I have to take like penicillin and folic acid most days. That's part of my like medication, and that's one that I've like seen things that you can get immune to it if you just obviously have to take it daily. But because they don't have a cure, like, these are the things that they give us to sort of manage things, to stop us from getting like infections. And like, you know, COVID was a massive, like, obviously it's a massive infection, and we were like one of the vulnerable people. So when that happened, we had the extreme rules, like, you can only crack a window, you can't go for a walk. Like, it was wild.
What was that like for you? Like,
oh my God,
like being
worst time ever,
lockdown, having sickle cell?
Worst time ever. Hated it. Just, it was awful.
What could you do? What was it?
So, first of all, it was really intense. And at the time I was living at home, obviously African parents, COVID, watching the news 24/7. It's the end of the world. Jesus is coming. So my parents were very like on it. So they were not into like me going out, like, even for a little bit and stuff like that. And they would send us like letters and letters and letters, like, telling us like how the vulnerable should stay at home and stuff like that. And yeah, it was very intense. Like, for the first 2 lockdowns were very, very intense.
So you didn't go out at all?
No, I didn't go nowhere. Like, I didn't go nowhere. I didn't even see my partner like for like however long because of it, because his mum was also vulnerable. So, and obviously back then there was not a lot of information on like what it was and what happened and blah blah blah. And a lot of people were passing away, and it was just a lot. So I was just thinking, I can't afford to get this. And it's actually so my last crisis was actually this time last year. So that's why I was like, yeah, I'll do the podcast because I'm happy to talk about it. But yeah, that's another reason why I'm doing my event this year as well. So this time last year, I got COVID and it was intense. Even though I was vaccinated, I was still like man down. And basically that infection triggered a crisis, which is what they basically were like protecting against. And that, because they said people that were vulnerable obviously were more susceptible for their chronic illnesses to flare up and stuff like that. So that's essentially what happened to me. So I got COVID and then it triggered a crisis and in my ribs.
Your ribs? Like,
yeah, because obviously there's joints there, there's bones there. So
the pain was in your ribs?
Yeah, that's where it was. And I ended up being in hospital for like a week. But obviously or maybe a little bit longer. But because of the COVID, when I tested, even though I didn't have it anymore, you know, there was a whole like false positives thing, like when not false positives, it's like it's still kind of in your system. Like I wasn't able to be on like my usual sickle cell ward, so I was like on a COVID ward, and it was like hell on earth. Like it was just like the worst place, because in general, like when you go to hospital and you've got sickle cell, you want to be in the hematology wards, you want to be where all the doctors are. So I wasn't able to be there because they didn't want me infecting anyone else. So yeah, that whole COVID time was like,
why was it so bad for you being in hospital at that time?
Because I wasn't in the hematology wards, it took longer, because obviously the NHS is under massive strain anyway. So it took longer for like the doctors to come to me, and then the nurses that were giving me my pain meds weren't the sickle cell nurses, they were just normal nurses. And like just little things like just miscommunications,
they just didn't know.
Like just the day in day out stuff, like the miscommunication of like, oh, when I press my bell, that means I need it now. Not like, oh, well, but you're not due it for another week, not for another couple of hours. And it's like, no. If I press, that means now. But like, if I was on
because the pain's really bad. Yeah.
But if I was on a hematology ward, they would know that. Like, that would just be second nature. But yeah, that's why it wasn't nice being in the hospital that time, because obviously,
and no one could visit you as well.
Yeah, because I had COVID. Well, they thought I had COVID. I tested negative after like a couple of days of being there. And that was another thing. It's like, oh, I'm negative now. Can I go to the ward where I'm going to be looked after the right way? And it was like, oh no. Like I feel like I was in there for like just about a week. And I think I tested negative like halfway through. And it was only like the day before I was like, I want to go home. They were like, oh yeah, we'll move you now. And I'm like, no, just give me my medication so I can just handle it at home. Because the thing is, even when you have a crisis, a lot of the time they send you out with like a whole suitcase of medication that you still need to get you through the time. It just means that you're not taking up a hospital bed anymore. So
when you go back home and you're on that medication and you're still kind of technically in a crisis, what can you do? Do you just have to lie there and do nothing?
Yeah, you just have to like slowly try and get yourself back to like normal and like operating again. But like it's kind of trial and error, because you don't want to force yourself to be ready to be out here or go back to work or anything like that. But you kind of have to, because you're out of hospital now.
So what implications does it have on your mental health? Because I feel like when I'm on my period, no, for real, like I'm like, oh my goodness, I need a break. I can't deal. This is annoying me. Like, this is a lot of up and downs. Like, for your body. So how does it affect your mental health?
For me, it's difficult because it's almost like a betrayal, because it's like my body's turning against me. Like, I did not wake up and say I wanted to be in pain. So why are we doing this today? Like, and I think it's like the, not surprise, but the what's the word when it's like up and down?
Going to the English dictionary, please.
No, but you don't.
Fluctuating,
no,
or
it's not fluctuating.
the feeling,
the spontaneity.
Okay,
of
right.
the disease.
Okay.
I'll use that word.
Right.
But like just not knowing, like the not knowing of like when a crisis is gonna hit, because it's not like clockwork. It's not what I thought it was when I was younger. It's not like that. So like I think sometimes it does get frustrating when you're thinking, like, it can be a massive inconvenience as well, to be honest. Like, you can have special occasions, like, as I said, like this time last year, like, my friends were getting married and I was looking forward to the wedding, and I was just like, this does not work for me. Like, or it can hit like on special occasions. It can hit when, you know, you've made plans for the day, but now because your body is like deciding it's not cooperating, that can be quite frustrating. And like, just basically every day making a decision to be like, okay, I'm gonna get up, I'm gonna go, I'm gonna do this. It's kind of like a battle. Almost.
It's like you don't know what's gonna happen, so just...
yeah, it's like a battle between your mind and your body, basically. So that's like, I always say that I feel like having sickle cell has taught me to try and be like really mentally strong, because you have to be, because if every single time you felt pain or like you're down, it can swallow you and it can consume you. So it's just trying to like battle that, really.
You mentioned earlier about getting therapy.
Yeah.
Why did you start it, and how long ago did you start it, and what type of implications has it had or effect?
So the reason why I started it had nothing to do with sickle cell, ironically.
Okay.
As I mentioned earlier, I lost my cousin to cancer, who was a year older than me. And last year, I felt like every time it got towards her anniversary, I felt like I was not coping. And I was like, oh, like, I've got to do something different. Like, I can't just keep getting to the end of the year and wishing away the last quarter of the year. Like, it just doesn't make sense. So I was like, let me try therapy. And maybe that will, you know, help. And I went, you know, I don't know if you've done therapy before, but it was like talking therapy, where you literally just sit there. And I'm very like, I like structure. So I thought I was going to go there and she'd be like, listen, today we're going to talk about this. Blah, 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 blah. Like, she just sat me down and she's like, so why are you here? And I was like,
okay.
I thought I told you that before I came. Like, what do you mean? And then basically the conversation turned to talking about sickle cell. And I was like, whoa, like,
in the first one?
Yeah. So like in the first conversation, because she doesn't necessarily like steer you in any direction. She just kind of says, why? And why do you think that? And why? And it's like just a constant thing. And it was really interesting for me, because I never thought of how big of a role sickle cell plays in my life until I went to therapy, and she kind of talked me into talking about how I see the world and how I sort of not hide but exist with this disease, with not everybody knowing, like, because there's no badge I wear that says I've got sickle cell. But then she kind of pushed me to think about that a little bit more and think about what living with a chronic illness actually means. So that first session, I was like, yeah, this is really intense. And they say with therapy, you shouldn't start it until you're absolutely like ready to do the work, because they say it's like going to the gym. You can't go to the gym once, and it's gym for your mind. That's what they say. So you can't go to the gym once and be like, I'm cured now, like, woohoo.
But what work is it that they're
like? When I say work, it's more like the consistency of the sessions. Like, there's no point in starting and then stopping. So she recommended to do like a 6-week program and then keep going from then. And then, but therapy is really, really intense. So
it sounds like it.
Yeah. So I just did. Like, have you ever done therapy?
No, but I've had a lot of friends that have, and it does sound very intense.
Oh, it's so intense. So that first session, I was like, I'm not coming back to you, Chef. if I told you, like, that woman, I was like, listen. And it's also a relationship as well, though, because I don't know whether or not we had that. Like, she definitely helped me for that time, but I was just like, yeah, I'm not ready to commit to this fully until I'm in a place where I can deal with what may or may not come out of these sessions. So yeah,
because I feel like with therapy, from what I've understood from my friends, they really hold things in your face, like things that you've coped with,
you think you've coped with,
that you think you've coped with. They hold it in your face and say, oh no, these are the issues. And because life can be very intense sometimes, it's like, I'm not ready to face
100%.
everything. It's too much now.
100%.
Like, so you had that one session.
Yeah, one session. I said, I'll come back later.
How did you find her as well? Because that's another thing. It's like...
So I chose a black woman because I wasn't... That was always going to be... I couldn't go
with anything else.
With anything else. Like, I don't even think I would have chosen a black man. I think it had to be a black woman, just so I had that relatability. And she was good. Like, the thing is, because obviously there's different types of therapy that you can get. And because initially I was going to go through the NHS, but they wanted to do like a different type of therapy. I can't remember what it is now off the top of my head, but that was a free one. But I was like, nah, like, I think I need more talking therapy, which is literally the one where they just let you talk and then they take you on this journey through questions. So I found she was good. Like, she was good. She was intense, and I didn't like what she said, so I didn't go back.
So do you think that the things that she covered in a therapy session could be done in a conversation with a friend?
No.
Why?
Because, well, they always say that, don't they? That you, like, with therapy, they don't have the relationship with you. So I didn't know I didn't know if she was married. I didn't know she had kids. Like, we didn't have that. You don't have that personal relationship with your therapist. They don't know you like that. So I feel like with friendships, like, my friend knowing me might change the way in which they give advice or the way they hear or receive something I'm saying. So that's why I feel like, well, they say everybody should do therapy, and I do agree. I think everybody should do therapy, because being able to speak to like an independent party to give you like an insight can be really beneficial. I also feel like with therapy, it's one of them things, like, going to the gym, following someone else's regime might not be good for you. So even if you go to a therapist, you don't need to take what they say as like gold. You just learn from what you can in that conversation and apply it to your life in whichever way benefits you, essentially, is what I see it as. I don't agree with people going to therapy and being like, oh, my therapist said this and now I'm gonna do this. It's like, no, just take the conversation for what it is and see how you can grow from that.
The thing is with therapy, I feel like it's like what you said, it's good, but I think something that I haven't got my head around is you have an opinion on my life and you don't know me.
But they don't. It's not an opinion. It's basic. Talking therapy is, they're not giving you an opinion. They're basically asking you a question for you to answer. It's for you. They're not. They don't. Well, I don't know. But she didn't say, I think you think like this. Right. They're not.
Okay. Got you.
She's not there to. Well, from my understanding, she wasn't there to diagnose me and be like, this is what's wrong with you.
Right, I see.
And this is what I feel like you need to work on. It's, from what you said, I'm hearing this. Am I right?
Right, okay.
Yes. If I'm right, does this mean this? And then you have to sit there and be like, oh, okay, maybe not. That's what I mean. Like, so I don't feel like it should be a thing where, like,
So if you don't mind sharing, what are some of the things that she brought to the surface that are not too personal about, was it about sickle cell?
Yeah,
that
like,
made
the
you
stuff
feel like
that was
it's too
like
much?
not too personal. She basically spoke about the fact that I'm living with something that not everybody understands. And how does that affect my relationships with people? And how does that affect the way I present to the world and stuff like that? So I didn't have a problem with her saying stuff like that. But then it was just more so this, like, stuff about, like, she was pushing me to basically realize that I haven't deeped the severity of my disease, if that makes sense. Right. Because obviously it is a disease that people can die from. Like, it's not a joke. Like, the life expectancy is mad. If I Google it now, it's most probably going to tell me I got a couple of years. But I don't want to live in that space. So, like, I think that's where it can become a bit dangerous or tricky. That's where it became a bit tricky for me, because it's like, I don't want to live in that space of fear. Like, I live in faith, so I want to just be like, I'm very much like, I've got sickle cell doesn't have me. Like, I'm not that's not all of me, basically. So I think that's where it became a bit intense, because the whole conversation became about sickle cell.
I see.
Yeah,
I see. Okay, so kind of moving on to, like, other support systems in workplaces.
Yeah,
I don't actually think that companies are usually aware of sickle cell and how it can affect their employees.
No.
I feel like that's not a common thing that's potentially comes up. Do you disclose it with employers when you work with?
In the past, absolutely not. Like, just no. But like recently,
why?
Because again, I feel like where I'm lucky in a sense that I don't crisis a lot. Well, I can't really say that now, but like as frequently, like I'm not in and out of the hospital. Luckily, like right now, I don't do blood transfusions and stuff like that, where that can be like bi-weekly or monthly. Like
that someone has to get them. Why?
Yeah. Because some people do blood exchanges where they like remove their blood and then replace it. That's why blood donorship.
What, to help them to reduce?
Reduce the sickled cells in their system, so it gives them a better quality of life, basically.
Right, I see.
So I don't do that at the moment, where that's a whole different story. But they basically want me to do something else instead of doing a blood transfusion, but I feel like that's a money situation with the NHS, and obviously because not a lot of we need more black donors and stuff like that. They try and reserve that for people that are like severely in and out of hospital. So
so that's not an option for you.
It's not. Well, it is an option for me, but that's not the option they're pushing for me right now.
Can you disclose the option that they are or no?
Yeah, it's not something that I want to do. It's a pill. I don't know what it's called. Well, it's a pill that basically helps, but there's a lot of symptoms and side effects that come with this. So it's like hair loss, nail loss, like it's got a small amount of chemo in it, and it has worked for some people.
What, to cure them or
not to cure them, just help with better quality of life. There's no cure.
Long term, so you take one pill and that's it?
No, it's consistent.
Oh,
it's a consistent thing.
I see.
So like where I'm not in that place yet, I don't know whether or not in the next couple of years that circumstance might change for me, where I do have to look into that as an option. That's why I didn't disclose it to employers. But now recently, actually, I have started like bringing it up in interviews or like talking about it, because I've also kind of learned to see it more as a strength rather than a weakness. Because before I feel like I saw it as a weakness, like, oh my god, I don't want to tell an employer that I've got this, because then
most people
they're gonna think I'm unemployable, basically. But like in recent years, I have like I mention it like, yeah, I've got this means this, but what it actually means is that you've got somebody that's going to be in your team that is very resilient. And the fact that that's the reality of my situation. So I think when I was in corporate, didn't really disclose it because I didn't see the benefit of it, especially because it's something that is specifically to do with the Black community. I feel like it would have taken too long for people to understand what it was. So I'd rather just deal with it. Like, I remember being on calls in a crisis, like when I was in sales, and being like,
you can't hang up the phone,
barely breathing, like, just,
are you serious?
Like putting my mic on mute every time when I needed to take a deep breath and stuff, and then like coming off and being like to my manager, yeah, I need to go to the hospital.
Will they ask you why?
Yeah, so in like after a while, like a lot of my corporate jobs, I stayed there for a bit, so
they would figure it out.
I would tell them eventually, yeah, because like I had to, like, yeah, but I say that to say just the presenting like I'm fine is second nature to me.
So what do you think companies can do so that people like yourselves, especially Black employees, can feel comfortable to disclose that? Because I think it's very important that they know from the get-go, but you also have to feel comfortable and feel like there's a reason for them to know. So what do you think they can do to be more accommodating? It might be whilst you're interviewing, it might be whilst you're working. What can they do?
I think for me, the reason why awareness is actually quite important to me, which I think it's less about like oh, hey, how are you doing today? And more of just like an awareness to what it is. Like, do you know what I mean? Like the same way every corporate job I worked on celebrated St. Patrick's Day. We celebrate Black History Month. We celebrate Mental Health Awareness Month. Like there will be emails about different like things.
Yeah.
Like I think it would have done a lot for me if there was an acknowledgement to Sickle Cell Awareness Month from a company. Do you know what I mean? Like, or
just the acknowledgement,
just an acknowledgement of knowing what it is. Like, like I think that most probably could have done quite a bit. So I feel like just like having the knowledge of what sickle cell is, or like not always saying, oh, I've got sickle cell, and then getting, oh, what's that? Like that would be nice to just have a conversation with someone. They're like, oh yeah, I know what that is. Like, blah, blah,
and they
blah,
understand
blah, blah.
it.
Even if it's on a basic level, I'm not trying to, I'm not a scholar. I just have it. So I never even like where I've spoken about it in the past, like I'm not out here trying to be like, I'm sickle cell 101. Like I do not know. I just live with it and this is my experience. But like just having the basic knowledge of what it is would be nice.
It will make a difference as well, because I think in teams, especially if there's anything that's performance based by teams, if they see someone that's always off in the team but they don't know the reason why, or they say they're in hospital, they're like, hospital for what? And then you come back and you're looking nice, you're looking dull, they're gonna think your legs are fine, your arm is fine, your face is fine, what is the problem?
Happened? Exactly. I
think from a team morale perspective, it's important for them to
just an understanding, really. 100%.
Okay. So I guess in regards, so awareness is one thing. Is there anything else that I guess not just employees, but friends, people that are out there can do to help with the research or development, anything to do with sickle cell?
Well, I think it's important as Black people to find out if you can be a donor, blood donor. Like if you can give blood, like look into it, see if you can, because I think the more Black blood that we have circulating, the better quality of life it can give to people with sickle cell. And just having basic understanding and knowledge of it. Like a lot of people, like, you know, for me, even in dating, like it was very important for me that I had someone that didn't have the trait, because then procreating, I didn't want to give birth to a child that potentially had sickle cell and have to go through what I went through. So just having knowledge of the diseases that affect our community, I think is important, just for Black health, Black mental health, for everything. I think it would just, that's something that I would like implore any Black person to just know what affects us as a people.
You know, with them, I just thought about it, even having families and stuff as well, like you getting pregnant, I just had a flash in my mind, that would actually be painful.
Oh, child, I'm scared. I'm scared, but I'm covered in the blood of Jesus Christ. Hallelujah.
Would you get a surrogate?
No. I mean, I'm saying no with my chest now, but do I know what is in store? God willing, I'll be able to carry my own children.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah.
But there's loads of women that have sickle cell and have given birth. Like,
okay, do you know some person?
Yeah, I have.
But your sister?
Yeah, she doesn't have sickle cell. She's the oldest one. She doesn't have any. Yeah, she doesn't have sickle cell. But like, yeah, like I have people that I know that have sickle cell. Obviously, it's very difficult, and it's a lot of planning, and it's a lot of like forward planning, because a lot of complications can happen when you have, I mean, just in general, childbirth is a mad thing. Like, in general, in general. Yeah. Like,
so this on top, you don't think about these small things on top as well.
Yeah. So, but it's possible, it's doable. Like, there's loads of women that are out here doing it. So, yeah.
Do you have like a sickle cell mentor, like someone that has gone, like a woman that's gone through a lot in life? She's had kids, she's done, a lot of work and everything.
I don't. Only in recent years have I like started to like really like connect with other people that have sickle cell. Like I feel like for a long time I was just like, yeah, I've got sickle cell. Yeah, what? Okay, yeah. So like it's me. Like I was one in my group of however many friends that I have like that had sickle cell. So I feel like in recent years, like I've joined groups and stuff like that. Like there's loads of like sicklers that get together, and like there's a real community of people that have sickle cell that are out there supporting each other. Like I'm part of TSS WhatsApp group. They've got like the sounds of sickle cell, of sickle. And there's like, I don't even know how many people are in that group, but like it's just a group with loads of warriors that talk about the complications and how to help each other, like different like benefits or like
remedies or
like everything. And like so in recent years I've like been part of like those groups, because I feel like when I was younger, it was disassociation.com for me. That's just me being honest.
What, from these communities?
Yeah, like just in from having the disease. For me, it was just like, yeah, I've got sickle cell. So like in recent years, like where I've like connected with more people that had sickle cell and like just had conversations about sickle cell. Like I feel like pre 2016 Denice wouldn't sit down on a podcast and talk about sickle cell.
What was the changing point for you? Was it the therapist or
No. It wasn't the therapist. I think it was the fact that what I thought I had down packed about my disease, which was every 2 years I go to hospital and I have to have a crisis. It's an inconvenience in my life, changed. That's when I was like, oh, okay, Denice, you don't know it all. So maybe
you didn't even fully understand your own disease until...
Yeah, like, or just didn't know like the mental side and like, you know, the different things that can trigger it. Like I don't think I was deep in it like that until like, post 2017. Like I don't feel like I was like, I didn't feel like I needed to understand it, because I was just like, I was very much, it is what it is. So that's why like I'm okay to talk about it now. Like I'm happy to speak about my experiences. Like it doesn't, sometimes, it does become overwhelming when like, you know, you hear a story about a sickler that's passed away. Like that is intense. Or like you see a Twitter thread, like, I don't know, like I think a year ago or like during the COVID times, young man, I think he suffered in a hospital. I think it was like outside of London. I hope I'm like getting this story somewhat correct, but he had sickle cell and he passed away, and it was like a massive thing on Twitter. Like I don't know if you saw, but like when you see that, like it becomes intense because it's that reality of, wow, like this disease is massive. But I feel like having it, like I feel more comfortable talking about it and trying to like spread awareness, because I can't complain and be like, oh, people don't know what it is if I don't talk about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so that's why, like when I was on YouTube a little second, I did like videos on sickle cell, or like my boyfriend did he did like a Instagram live talking about like being like with someone that has sickle cell, and like obviously I'm doing the podcast and like the event that I'm doing next week with Soho House and friends.
So it's this week, the event.
Yeah,
not next week.
yeah.
So we actually want to talk about that as well, but I want you to finish.
But like so like that's why I'm happy to do those things, because I want to
spread awareness,
get the conversation happening, and it's September Sickle-cell Awareness Month, so why not?
And I think it's good to have these type of conversations and let people to have a deeper understanding, because I think there's so much that goes out there saying donate blood, do this, and I'm just like, why?
What does it mean?
I'm like, why am I donating blood? And it sounds really, but it sounds bad to ask the question.
It makes it,
So, and because there's so many messages in general, like when I'm a firm believer in having a deeper conversation to have a bigger understanding as to why you're doing something.
Yeah.
So that hopefully, you know, now I'll be like, okay, I can go and look and check if I can donate blood, because now I see how it can make someone who's got sickle cell's lives easier.
Yeah. 100%.
But onto that, so you've got the event happening this week. Woo, 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 with Soho House. This is going to be amazing.
Yeah.
So what made you do the event in the first place?
So my good friend, Sharon Nipper, she works at Soho.
Shout out Sharon for that.
Shout out Sharon on that one. But yeah, so she works at Soho Friends, and she works in events, and like we've worked together. It's so funny, we were speaking about it the other day. Like we've worked together, like she's really creative, I'm creative, like we've done things in the past, and then it just so happened that obviously we wanted to do something back when it was World Sickle Cell Day, which is in June, I believe, but it was like the timings didn't work out, so we were like, oh, maybe we'll just like work towards September, and that's what we did. And obviously like she's someone I grew up with, known her since I was in secondary school. Like she understands the disease, and obviously it's important to me, it's important to her, so we were just like, do you know what, like let's just do something that like not too much pressure, but like something that we can basically talk about sickle cell, like, and highlight the creatives in the industry. Because as I said earlier, like, having sickle cell, it doesn't define you completely. Like, the event is basically an evening to celebrate sickle cell creative. So we're gonna have like a poet, we're gonna have an artist, we're gonna have a screening of a show that.
How did you find these people?
This one's, I'm part of the community.
This is fantastic.
I'm part of the community, darling.
I love it.
No, yeah. So like, because I did like obviously get into the community and stuff like that, like I know a lot of sicklers that are working in the industry.
Sounds kind of cool, sickler.
Yeah,
you're a sickler.
I'm a sickler. No, like I know a lot of people in the industry like that are doing their thing. So I just thought, you know what, like, let's see who I can pull together. Let's put together an event for them as well as like people that support in general, and just come and chill and like have an evening. Like, we're gonna have like a CBD brand there to talk about like the benefits of CBD, and like obviously that's a holistic, well, not holistic, but like not traditional medication route. And like we're gonna have a DJ, we're gonna have like, it's gonna be lit. Like, if you can grab your tickets, are you gonna put in the link below or what?
Yes. I'll put it in the link description for this podcast, and I'll also put it on Blackgate Connects. We've got like a link tree, so I add the link there as well, so that you can access it easily.
Yeah, it's completely free. Just come down, like, just to socialize, and really we just wanted to spread awareness. We just wanted to have an evening where we can do something a little bit different in the name of like awareness and charity and sickle cell.
Do you have any photographers and videographers that are going to be here? Would you like us to do a call out if anyone wants to come?
Well, we had one. We have one, but listen,
if anyone wants to come and take some footage, any press people, I think it'll be great. If you know someone that knows someone, we never know.
Listen,
come.
Black Create Connect.
Yes,
let's connect.
Let's connect. With the creatives, okay, who are black. So silly, but honestly, this is good, Denice. Like, this is something you should be really proud of.
I am actually. I am really proud of it. Like, I'm excited. I think it's gonna be a really good evening. Like, you know,
what's the time and location, just in case people want to know that as well?
So the location is in Brixton. It will be in Brixton. All the details will be in the link in terms of the actual address. It's gonna be from 6 to 11 on the 21st of September. So yeah, come down. It's a little midweek thing. Think of it as like, you know, after work drinks or something like that. Think of it like that. Just come, connect, chill,
take some pictures, spread the awareness, and you can meet Denice in person and probably ask her some questions.
Yeah, we're gonna be having we'll be having a Q&A with some of the creatives as well. So you can come and write your questions. Like, if you don't feel comfortable like asking or coming directly up to people, like, you can write your questions into like a little bowl, and then it will be part of the Q&A session that will run with some of the warriors and creatives, and then we'll just have some open conversations, some chin wags.
This is exciting. And also, Denice is an incredible creative assistant as well. She's working on some incredible projects. So if you ever want to collaborate with her,
listen, I'm available.
Give her a shout. Okay, give her a shout.
Television.
Yeah.
Shout me.
And remember, she's resilient. Okay, because
listen,
what she's dealing with.
I'ma be there.
She'll show up.
I'll show up
regardless, even if she's in a bit of pain on her joints. You know, I'm so sorry, guys. I can't be 100% serious all the time. So even though it's a serious matter.
I'm like, for me anyway, even with me, like, when I go to hospital, like, I'll send pictures to my friends, like, with me in my drip, like I
think you've posted on Instagram before.
I think I have posted. That was the wedding that I went to, and I was in hospital like the weekend. I took a picture of myself because I was high on the drugs that they gave me, and I was just like, this is like, so like, what a juxtaposition is going on here. Like, I'm cute this day, and then I'm like literally in the hospital. But like, it is definitely a serious disease and a serious subject, but at the end of the day, we're human, and we have to like try and make the best out of all situations that we're in. Like, we're in the middle of a cost of living crisis,
honestly,
all sorts. The world is End times is near.
The end times is knocking on our door. You know, Jesus is coming soon.
Listen, you're on the right side if you're on the wrong one.
Honestly, there's a lot happening. But thank you for coming on today and like being open and talking about
for having me.
Your journey. No, it's completely fine. I hope that people listening got like a really good or better understanding as to why awareness is important.
And as I said, as a disclaimer, I am in no way a expert. I just have the disease as a disclaimer. Thank you. I don't want nobody telling me, no, but it also affects people. Like, listen.
This is your experience.
My experience.
Yes.
Just talking. I'm just doing my best to like try and spread some awareness, have some conversations, and where better to do it than on my friend's podcast for BCC.
Hey, exactly. But yeah, thanks Denice for coming.
Thanks for having me.
And I hope to see a lot of you at the event.
Yes, come down. It's free. Did I say that already?
It's free.
Hello.
Can you buy food and drinks as well?
Yes, you can buy food. You can buy drinks.
Fantastic.
Listen,
have your dinner. Have your drinks there.
Right.
And it'll be a nice little vibe.
Yes.
But yeah, thank you.
Thank you for having me.
All right, and share this podcast with your friends, guys, and I'll see you all on the next episode of the Black Create Connect podcast. Bye.
Bye.